Before we get started, just a quick disclaimer. This podcast is for educational purposes only. For legal and financial advice, please seek help from a licensed professional. Thank you. Today's show is also sponsored by IAR Property Solutions. If you're looking to sell, buy, or renovate your property, IAR will be by your side through the merry real estate ride. Welcome to the Humble Hustle Podcast. My name is Antoine Basquiat, and I will be your host for today's episode. Our next segment, which is what does it take to start a business? And I'll go ahead and throw that first question to you, Josh Sanders, is have you started a business before? Do you have a background in businesses? Well, like I said before, business administration. I like to think that helped a bit, right?
I'm gonna go ahead and say I'm business minded since I started going to school. That's why I got the undergrad in marketing and the MBA. But to be honest, that don't mean nothing. You can have all the paperwork you want if you don't know, if you're not trying, if you're not actively doing it. So that being said, I think one of the most important things you gotta have to start a business is one is drive, and two is probably clientele. You gotta have somebody to treat.
Mhm.
You gotta have somebody to take care of. You gotta have somebody to start that word of mouth process that we talked about a little bit earlier, and the drive. You gotta have some sort of organization, drive. Just keep on the track. Like, it's not always gonna be pretty. I started mine 2 years ago, and it's really kind of just now starting to pick up. So if I'd have quit after year one, I'd have been,
Mm.
back to square one with starting a business. But the drive and the consistent clientele and communication with clientele and, just things of that nature, I think that's big for starting a business.
Okay. Yeah, and I'd like to speak a little bit about that. I kind of want to give Josh Bailey a little break here. He's been going at it a
Yeah.
little bit. So I'll go ahead and just ping pong it back to you, Josh Sanders. I kind of want to go back into the drive aspect of what you're saying, right? Because I think having a business is underestimatedly difficult, and being a 9 to 5 person, honestly, through everyone's life, started from school, we're 9 to 5 people, right? Going to work, we're 9 to 5 people. And I think it's kind of an underestimated fact that drive that you're talking about. So can you kind of just talk a little bit more of what drive you're referring to, what drive means to you? What does that look like in your business?
So, personally in my business, I'm not even going to talk about my business. So I was raised in a family of dentists. My stepdad is a dentist and my mom runs the dentistry. So they kind of been running their own practice for what, 30 some odd years now. That being said, my stepdad's a dentist. What he does to make his business profitable, it's a dentist. It's already going to be profitable, but to make it even more profitable, is he minimalized costs, and he's working on weekends. He's working on holidays. So when I come home for Christmas, Thanksgiving, he's doing all of the billing for his company
Mm.
in his office instead of referring it out to somebody. So that's the drive. You got to be willing. You could do all the. I could be an athletic trainer. I know how to needle. I know how to cup. I know how to massage. I know how to do all that. That's the easy part. It's when I go back home and I sit behind the desk and I'm doing all the paperwork, the tedious stuff, that is really going to make the business more profitable and want to make money actually. And that also goes into creating content, I guess, and stuff like that to build that clientele and spread that word of mouth and actually get people to come check out what you're doing and then go spread it to other people. And honestly, sometimes you have to bite a bullet or two to kind of get a client. Every client doesn't have money to pay your prices and whatnot, unfortunately. So in the beginning, sometimes you do have to work with the client on price and stuff like that. You have to bite a bullet or two here and there to make the business profitable and spread the word. And that's really what in these past 2 years have been, not so much biting bullets and everything, but just keeping that constant mental drive going that this business is going to be successful. And y'all know, like, the school bus, I mean, I love the school bus, but it's a pain. Like, it's like any other old school car. Like, it's going to break down every now and then. A tire's going to blow on the road, and I'm like, all right, let's sell the bus. No, I'm keeping the bus. So like, the bus is the niche of the business, so I got to keep the bus. So that being said, really, every day there's going to be something that tells you just give up on it. give up on it. You ain't getting enough clients. The bus broke down. You know, you're paying more than you're incoming. Stick with it. Eventually, if you have a niche and you think it's gonna work, and you keep that mental drive, eventually, it'll pan out for you.
I, man, that is listen, I don't even want to say anything else. That is truly the definition of owning a business. And I think even especially in the first year, I think one of the big things that you said too that really kind of stuck with me is the minimizing cost. I think that's really crucial because as a 9 to 5 person, never done business before. Listen, growing up, we never talked about money. Growing up, we never budgeted. We never had those types of conversations. So to throw somebody like that into a business world where I don't want to say you're nickel and diming everything, right? But you gotta have to keep track. You gotta have some kind of system. And I think it's really important, like you said, is to minimize that cost because you'll be surprised how fast that checkbook adds up. And depending on the industry, in the construction world, in the residential real estate world, we're talking about tens of thousands of hundreds of thousands of dollars. And if you're not careful, dotting your I's, checking your T's on all that stuff, it really does add up. So I guess as far as minimizing the cost and in real estate, what they call it is sweat equity. It sounds like that's exactly what you're talking about is doing that sweat equity. You did the bus yourself, you worked on that. You're putting in those late hours. And I think in that first year, everything unimaginable goes bad. And like you said, once you stick to it, if it's something you love, man, and I know both of you guys, and it's something that you both love doing, and I think that's really the another important part is that gets you through those times, that tough times where you're just like, yeah, I can most definitely sell this bus. So I most definitely understand that. And kind of going back to you, Josh Sanders, right on the minimizing cost and really putting in that sweat equity. What do you think has made your business the most successful?
That's a good one. That's a good question. I would say what has made the business successful is the niche of the bus. I'm not gonna lie.
Mm,
Like, I haven't treated anybody in the bus in a year and a half, and people still ask me to get treated in the bus and where's the bus gonna be. Like, I think I've only treated one person in the bus, and I treated them in the bus maybe about 10 or 15 times. But everybody wants to get treated in the bus, and I'm like, okay, I mean, but the bus, I mean, I live in the bus now, so it's not like I'm about to take, that's my house. So I'm not about to just let everybody in my house. So here and there, I let certain people in, but not only does it markets itself because it got my logos all over it. So I drive it down to the beach. People are like, what's that? And then they used to go to the socials. I took down all the socials for other reasons, but they
mhm.
used to go to the socials, follow and stuff like that, and see what I did and went from there. But people see it on the street and they want to come inside, and I'm like, sure, you could come and see what's inside. So it literally markets itself. So I'd say the niche, which is what I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be the bus, is really what drives itself, and that's been the key factor to the business. Because there's a million athletic trainers out there. Just that and my personality really kind of just goes hand in hand, and you know, experience, like you said. But the main thing is definitely the bus.
Okay, for sure. I get that, man, because it's cool as hell. You saw that picture under the sun, man. That's beautiful palm trees in the background. Yeah, it's most definitely a cool thing.
That's
I
it.
I think too the and I think really this is exactly what we're talking about before Josh Bailey was bending and not breaking. I think this was most definitely a very crucial thing to have during COVID, right? Like how many people were getting treated going through I, you can go straight to somebody's backyard, their driveway, wherever you are, and it's most definitely personal. I think I don't know if you caught it. What we were talking about before was that Josh Bailey is in a very intimate industry, right? He's doing construction on people's homes and things like that. It's a very intimate type of project he's doing, right? And I honestly I think even more so, you're even more so. right? You're doing athletic training. You're working with people's bodies. It doesn't get any more personal than that, right? And I think when you're talking about providing the service and the niche that you're in, you're even going a step further. You're not saying, "Hey, here's this regiment that I give to every single body. Meet me here. Go out of your way." You're taking it a step further. You're saying, I'm meeting you on your terms. I'm meeting you where you're comfortable. I am bringing everything that you need to you, and it's customized to you. And I think even more so, the bus. Yeah, you're right. I agree. The bus is most definitely the niche, and but I think, man, you and your social media presence and the things that you do to promote it is really great stuff. And I think you are most definitely the other part of that niche too, right? Because we've been in the athletic training room. I don't know how you guys do it. You guys have that gift of the gab, and I'm just like, we'll talk about anything and everything. So it's really cool that I think not only is your bust the niche, I think you really are the niche too, man, for sure.
Appreciate that, Squiz. Appreciate that, sir.
Yeah, no problem. Is that well? I think Josh Sanders has made his time. Let's do back to piggy the ping pong effect. So going back a little bit more on what does it take to start a business. I'm going to go back to Josh Bailey because he said something I think was really crucial. And this is a perfect question for this. Is he said previously, just the one thing that he wished he could do earlier is just get started. And I think that's a very key. Hindsight is 2020, but and we were saying, failure equals perspective. You learn from your failures, you learn from your mistakes, maybe even more so than the wins. But just getting started, man, right? Like just getting started. So my question to you, Josh Bailey, is what gave you the confidence to start? What said, hey, you're ready, man. Let's do this.
Yeah, I mean, it really all boiled down to um, in a short window of time, I had quite a few people who I was either working with or my material suppliers or subcontractors. And I just kept hearing the same thing over and over. It's like, why aren't you doing this for yourself?
Mm,
It's like you're doing all this work for somebody else, and you have all this knowledge and you have all these people you can go to subcontract and to buy things. Why aren't you doing it for for yourself? And I said, well, all right, I guess we'll give it a shot. And that's just kind of how it all really started. And the word of mouth and getting in. And I've got subcontractors who they're specialty people like electricians and plumbers. They don't do the carpentry or drywall or flooring, so they'll actually tell people about me. So and then I hire them to do my trades for those. And it just kind of all spirals together. So once a lot of people started talking about it, I said, hey, let's try it. Worst that's going to happen is it ain't going to work, and we'll just keep going. But it's been a good ride so far.
okay. Well,
Yeah,
I think that's pretty cool, man. Like to have that support, that's awesome.
yeah.
And I'm just gonna go back to you real quick because is this a piggyback type of question off of that? Is did you as you were getting started, did you ever feel stuck? Whether like did you just feel stuck when you're starting out your business?
I always say that the easy part is actually doing the work. It's
Mm,
actually getting the materials there, getting the guys going, doing the hands-on stuff. That's the easy part. It's all the planning beforehand, whether it's administrative or getting permits or starting the business, licenses and getting your insurance and all that stuff. I mean, I never went to school for any of that stuff. I never went to school for anything. It's just stuff that I've picked up and Google and hey, what forms do I need for this or what do I need for that, and just asking people like you and getting your opinions on stuff, and that's really the only way to do it. So
yeah, for sure. I think having people on your side is most definitely net worth equals net worth is
oh
what they
yeah,
say.
yeah, most definitely.
Well, okay. Well, let me go and say the same question to Josh Sanders is what what gave you the confidence to start the bus?
So, as an athletic trainer, we be in the office from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Yeah, in season from camp all the way to the end of the season, we be in the office from 6 a.m. to 9, kind of like today. I
Wow.
started at 9:30 today, and it's currently 6:30, and so we be in the office. Well, vice versa. But that being said, I was tired of being there for 15 hours a day and not building me, because by the time
Mm,
you get home after 15, 16 hour day, you're like, nah, I'm not doing nothing else. So after I was an intern for the Dolphins for 2 years, and I did FIU for a full year. After FIU, I got called to the UFL, which was the 4 month gig.
hmm.
I was like, all right, now I got 8 free months to do whatever I want. Say less. I started a business, and I'm gonna tie this into the question that I actually left on, um, which was my first. How did I get my first client? Um, the person who taught me dry needling, he had a friend who played hockey down in South Florida. So he calls me and he's like, "Can you treat my friend?" And I was like, "Yup, I'll pull a bus up to this park, tell him to meet me
Mm.
there." And that's how I got my first client, and then started rolling from there. But literally, I was just tired of being in the office for 16, 17 hours a day, work, working on somebody else, not getting paid the way I should be getting paid. And it was really the pay. So that was
Wow.
a no brainer to leave. So then after that, I was like, you know what? Everything else is going to be extra. So let's open a business and do whatever I please from there. So, and it just started spinning from there.
Wow. Well, that's crazy, man. Because again, that word of mouth, that seems to be another recurring theme is that word of mouth, man. The, the number one marketing tool.
Yep.
Uh, so just kind of piggybacking off of that question, did you ever feel stuck in that beginning phase? Did you ever just mentally, emotionally, or
I
you
ain't gonna
know?
lie, I still feel stuck. Still feel
100%.
stuck. Like I ain't a millionaire yet. I'm gonna be stuck till I'm a billionaire, But
Uh-huh.
nah, and that's the mentality I really keep with it. So
For sure.
no, stuck not so much. Clients call me, whether it be to treat them or whether it be to cover at like a sporting event like I'm doing today. I get calls probably twice a day for, yo, can you come to this event for me? Yo, can you cover this? Can you cover this?
Mm,
So I be chilling. I'm not gonna lie. So I don't really feel stuck, but in a sense of I need to make more money, I'm stuck. Yes.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think that feeling goes away. I think even millionaires think the same way
Right.
for sure. Um, well, kind of, I wanted to go back to give the folks. This is a general question, really. Either one of you guys can answer it if you want to raise your hand or whatever. Take it. But what were the first steps when you were starting your business? And then when I say first steps, we kind of already discussed the whole idea, what it took for that part. But legally, financially, business wise, what kind of structures did you guys put in place when you were starting out?
Yeah, so I mean, you got to go through the state, get an actual business license. So started that process there, and I think it was a little over $100, and get your name legal, and then figuring out the insurance part and making sure not that I just have insurance, but I have insurance that if something does go wrong, I don't want it to come back on me. I want to take care of the issue and make sure everybody's taken care of. So getting the right insurance and kind of just bootstrapping it at first. You
Hmm.
can't just go out and start and jump into debt. You gotta figure your way through it and earn that money and just keep it in there and just keep plugging along. So I got lucky on the first job. It ended up being a pretty decent sized job, and they were willing to give me some money up front for covering the materials. So that was a blessing right there that they had that trust in me to not just run off with their money, and um, that really helped.
Yeah, and I would bring this same question to Josh Sanders too, because you guys are both in completely two different industries, but I never thought about insurance as, because you guys have to insure, you're dealing with people's homes, you're dealing with subcontractors, you're dealing with people's bodies. Josh Sanders, did you have to get specific insurance for that type of stuff or?
So we're not required to, but they what do they encourage us to while we're in school? They like get personal liability insurance. So I do have personal liability insurance, and typically whatever job I work also has insurance.
Hmm.
So they cover me as well. So this is just a bunch of coverage. But I took the same steps as him. Made sure I got insurance. I got a license to do business in in like 5 different states, to be honest. And then I, yeah, went and made it an LLC as well. So I was like, okay. And those are my 3 legal things. As far as a bank account, um, haven't really dabbled into that yet, but that's kind of in the next few steps within the next few months and whatnot.
Hmm. Yeah, I think well, let me put a quick disclaimer out, right? We're most definitely get your own legal advice. This is for educational purposes. Every state is going to be different. Every industry is going to be different. So make sure you guys that are listening out there to seek out your own legal advice, your own financial advice to deal with your own particular business and situation. So thank you guys for the insight on those items. Now, going to oh well, this was I these questions, man, are bangers. These questions are bangers that are coming through because they're great. Go ahead, Aaron. I think I just saw the next one.
Okay, I'll read it out for you. How did you balance your personal life and relationships while starting your business?
Go ahead, Josh.
You
You
don't
first.
kick us. Me, um, personally, I moved to Florida. All my friends are in New York and Pennsylvania, so ain't nobody down here but me. All I got to worry about is me and the business. As far as personal life, I mean, it's hard. I ain't gonna lie. That's probably one of the harder things because I can literally sit on the couch and play video games all day long and not do nothing. So that was probably staying locked in and being like, I don't need to film a video today to post it. I need to text this client to check on how he was because I treated him 2 days ago. You know, I could literally sit on the couch and not do any of that stuff and just, get lost in a video game or a TV series or something like that. So I would say that was probably one of the more difficult parts. But relationships, I ain't got none of those. So your world, Josh Bailey.
Yeah. It's a juggling act. You got to know that whatever free time you have, you can spend it just hanging out, or you can spend it on building something to where all your time's free time. It's just kind of that mentality of, I've got all these tasks I got to get done, and I got this much time to do it. And you just knock out the ones that you need to do to keep you moving along. And definitely at first it was a lot because like I said, the whole paperwork and figuring out all the what am I doing legally and making sure I cross my T's and dot my I's. I didn't know any of that stuff. I knew the construction and I knew the how to run the actual day-to-day stuff, but trying to figure all that out, that took a lot of the personal time, and just kind of figuring that out, sitting down with the wife and saying, hey, I need to take a little bit of this time over here, and I got to work on this, so it'll be better for our future.
Mm, yeah, and is I always like to see both of you guys kind of talk about the same things, and because when you guys are talking, there's a lot of completely different industries, but you guys are talking about the same exact stuff.
Mhm.
I see that Josh had to drop off real quick. He'll probably be back, but oh, there you go. You see, you guys are kind of there's always these reoccurring themes despite the industry that you guys are saying, right? And one of those things is Josh Sanders was saying before, he was spending all of his time working, right, 15 plus hours, and he didn't have any time to focus on himself to build himself up, right? And he also said about being locked in. You got to be locked in and really focus on the grind, focus on the business, and then like you just said, Josh Bailey, is you have to prioritize. You need to, if you have relationships, you need to set the parameters, right? You need to talk to your significant others, the ones you love, the people that are in your life, to say, hey, I'm putting all my chips in this, and I need time to build me. I need time to focus. I need time to lock in. And that motivation, right? I think it kind of goes back into a little bit of what you guys were saying before. You guys love this. You guys love to do it. So you're motivated. Locking in is a little bit easier. But that being said, I want to kind of focus a little bit on the building me aspect of it, right? What does building you, and I'll kick that over to Josh Bailey. What does building you look like, right? What are you doing to educate yourself? What are you doing to get better?
Yeah, a lot of it is just research. A lot of times when I was younger and just out there actually doing the work, and I just be headset in and just jamming to some music and just going to get the work done, punching the clock 9 to 5, whatever the hours are, and just doing that. And then, as I started progressing, I started wanting to learn more. So you start getting into podcast stuff. So, a lot of that of, listening to other people's stories, because, somebody out there has the answer. I've yet to find a question that I can't get answered by just pushing it into YouTube and saying, what is this? So just, I really don't have a lot of time to read, and, I'm always out on the road, but, just popping on a nice lecture or a podcast about something that, I want to know about, how to build, your business, or, how to form your LLCs, or, tax filings, and, just stuff that I would never know, just learning, just learning more and more, and just educating myself. And then, next thing I know, I'm talking about stuff that, 2 years ago, I wouldn't even know what to look for. So it's, it's good to see that, and, always just growing.
Yeah, I love to see that growth in people, man. And you in particular, I remember you were, when we first started talking and everything like that. I knew of Dave Ramsey, but I never really listened or watched and stuff. And then you told me to, like, sit down, listen to this one, listen to that one. And I'm just like, what is this guy? Like, who is this guy? He's just changed. This is a new Josh Bailey that I'm listening to now, talking about all these financial things and contracts.
Yeah,
and I'm
man.
like, what? Like,
Yeah, getting on that Dave Ramsey stuff, and just listen to his entree leadership. A lot of that stuff is just people calling in and saying, "Hey, I've got 13 employees and I make $7 million a year, and I bring home $20," and it's like, what? Like, how does that even make sense? So just learning how other people are running their businesses, whether it's 1, 2 people, husband and wife, or it's 30 people, and the struggles that they're coming through. And it's like, man, I never thought about that. What if something happens like that? And just kind of jot that down in the notebook and say, hey, research whatever this is, research that, and just listen to other people, because other people can make the mistakes and you can still learn from it too.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I said something like this before, and I might be messing up my own words, but there's a definition between wisdom and street smarts. Wisdom is learning from somebody else's experience. Street smarts is when you go out there and get those bumps and bruises yourself. And I think there's no better path to learning, or a greater path to success is listening to that wisdom of others. So I think it's really important. And I know Josh Sanders, he has to go through a lot of education and a lot of trainings and things like that. So are you able to talk about that a little bit, Josh? Or you good?
Yeah, I'm done work
Okay.
now. I'm in the car, so I'm gonna hang out in the car till this is over. But as far as obviously to be an athletic trainer, you got to go to 4 years of undergrad and 2 years of a master's degree. Um, as far as like certifications and everything, I mean, you're kind of at your leisure at which ones you want to take. Um, so like the dry needling one, probably that's a deeper level of treatment than most treatment. Like you're not just treating the surface with like massage or cupping, you're needling. So that took probably about 3 or 4 classes, and now I'm able to teach dry needling, so I do that as well. But as far as like getting other certifications and stuff, it's really at your own leisure. Um, I I try to push people towards certain ones because I've taken a lot of them, and a lot of them are taught in school. Um, as tedious as it can be, you're always learning in this profession, and that's what I like. So in this profession, they require you actually to get CEUs, continuing educational credit units, CEUs. So you have to get like 50 of those every 2 years, and you get those through certifications, doing research and classes like that. So um yeah, I'd say that's probably one of the only things you have to keep up with in as far as this profession is to get those CEUs, make sure you stay on top of them. And like you said, you had the leisure to pick whatever you want as far as the CEUs. So you could pick dry needling, you could pick cupping, you could pick writing or doing research, whatever it may be. So there's multiple options.
Yeah, God bless you, man. When I was done with school, I was done. I can't imagine going back that many times. But like we were saying earlier today, bending, not breaking, continuing. You got to adapt, and education is the way to adapt, right? And learning new things with the changing times. I think that's very crucial. So you're always learning. Both of you guys are always learning and educating yourselves. So, well, before we go into our last segment, which is the wants, needs, and goals, I want to leave this segment with one last question, and this is for both of you guys. What has been the biggest challenge so far in your business? What was the biggest things that you've had to overcome? I know we've talked about the motivation, talked about just wanting to quit, but what were some of those things that you had to overcome, and how did you overcome it?
He's gone. I'll kick it off. Biggest thing I had to overcome is other people telling me that I can't do it.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know if so. My profession is you have doctors, you have PTs, you have everybody who can like write their scripts and do everything. So I just was like, I'm gonna figure it out on my own. So and that's really what it was, is other people telling me that whether I can't do it, it's not possible, whatever it may be. I'm like, no, like you said earlier, people could do whatever they want. You can do whatever you put your mind to.
I think that's crucial, right? Like when you're starting anything new, it's going to be difficult. It's going to feel weird. It's going to feel strange, and people are going to be doubting. People are going to doubt you. There's no. You're going to doubt yourself. Like
Hmm.
you're
Yep.
probably the
Yep.
first person that doubted yourself.
Yep.
And when you're talking to other people, you're not really looking for their approval. You're just like, just kind of checking the heat. Just kind of checking to see what you guys think.
That's
But
it.
no, man. I think having that the gusto and the self-confidence in yourself to actually get it through is the number one thing, right? Especially when you put yourself out there in social media, man. The world is the trolls out there. It's tough. So I think it's really cool to understand that you're going to have those doubters. You're going to have those people that bring you down, but you got to find your niche. You got to find the people, your tribe. You got to find those people that actually bring you up. So going back to the like what we were saying before, that network equals that net worth. So like-minded people, like-minded podcasts. So going back to Josh Bailey with the same question, he's educated himself with all these podcasts to bring that tribe together to really understand. Okay, well, this is how I educate myself. This is the mindset I need to have. So going back to you, Josh Bailey, with the same question, what has been your biggest challenge, and how did you overcome it?
Yeah, I mean, really the biggest challenge is just learning the business part of something that you never had to learn.
Mm.
I feel like there's two different kinds of people in that own their own business, at least in contracting, and it's people who went to school for it and they know how to do it on book, but they've never swung a hammer. And then there's other people who that's all they've ever done is they started at picking up trash and watching how other people do stuff and then slowly working their way up and going from I remember working with my dad when we were young, just picking up trash on the weekends and we were doing commercial flat roofing in the summertime and going from that to running multiple crews on multiple jobs and multiple facets. Just seeing that it's crazy. But as far as the paperwork side, I mean that's going to be the biggest struggle for someone like me who I never went to school for anything. I never had that mentor behind me saying, oh, make sure you file this so you can write this off, and make sure you do this so you can knock it that. Just learning that part of it. That's the biggest struggle.
Yeah, kudos to you, man, because I would say when I'll try and learn it, but I'll hire that professional. Like I'm gonna get a
Yeah.
lawyer. I'm gonna get a lawyer to handle it, man. Because
Yeah, that's
I,
all
I
money though. It costs money. You got to start. you
listen.
gotta
When
you gotta bootstrap it yourself, man. You got to get in there, and you can find it if you can legally file that paperwork. I'll do it myself. It's just how I did it.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that started their own LLCs, right? It's just really one sheet of paper,
Yeah.
and they, instead of getting a lawyer, you can most definitely do it yourself. So I understand that, especially going back to the topic that we were saying before of minimizing costs. When you're first starting, man, yeah, I'll most definitely. But I'm in the mindset now where I'm just like, yeah, I see so many contracts and so many lawyer lingo that I'm like, yeah, you do your dude. You know,
Yeah.
I didn't go to school for this for sure, but
Yeah, and certain stuff for sure. Yeah, you definitely need somebody that went to school for that stuff to do that, because that's the last thing you want to do is get on one of these big jobs and something happens and you start owing tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars and you're like, uh-oh, I should have just filed that $500 paperwork. And so
well, I think too, it kind of goes back to what we're saying about educating yourself, right? Like
Yeah.
Josh Sanders, you're saying that already. You know the business, you know what you have to do, and you're already educating yourself constantly to put you in a position where you should have little to no or minimalized risk, right? So I think that's important.
I was that guy though with 2 business degrees, did not know how to swing the hammer. So I can't even. You gotta live and you learn. You gotta live and learn it though. That's it. That's the only way to find out.
Yeah.
100%. You're going to get those bumps and bruises, right? So you might as well get it
That's it.
early. So, well, just wanted to make sure before we move on to our next segment, Aaron, was there any other questions that came in or at all? Anything like that before we move on?
No, nothing new
Nope.
came in.
No new questions? All right. Sounds good. Thank you. Well, let's go on to our next segment, which is the last segment of the day, wants, needs, and goals.
From doorstep to front lawn to light,